Mr. Schultz, to pick up where the defense just left off, excuse me. Did Jason, in addition to thinking Chad was a good person, express any other thoughts about Chad at that time?
No, the thing that he mentioned was when I made that comment, his direct quote back to me is, "Oh no, not Chad, never."
Have you since had conversations with Jason about this?
Yes.
Are you aware if he holds the same opinion?
He does not hold the same opinion.
And I want to go back to the question that you were asked about your opinion of Chad. You remember that question?
Yes.
And in that question, in your answer, you said effectively, Chad is a good person, but will you please explain to the jury now, what was the but? What were you wanting to say at that point?
Well, the but was the red flags that have come up since Tammy was deceased, and the time of the basically the trial, the things that were being said, if you want particulars,
Certainly, if you'd like to share with the jury.
okay. Well, there's obviously the doomsday type thing that after he left Utah, he got involved in a group. You want to cut me off? What? Oh, sorry. Okay, I thought you were raising your hand.
No, I'm sorry.
I had most of this was from Jason, who had conversations with him as well, about a date of the second coming, when that would happen. Also of the catastrophes that would follow: Deer Creek Dam breaking, Utah County being flooded, white tents in a city being developed for the chosen, the elected, the people. And those types of things are what made me have the suspicion when I went up there and found things appeared to be rushed, in my opinion. And that's why those are the red flags that I.
Thank you. You were asked a question about the norm of a funeral typically being more than 3 or 4 days.
3 or 4 days on the average.
And you still felt like this situation was rushed, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Was the fact that the death had occurred on a Saturday and there was a desire to have a funeral, or at least a viewing Monday, does that play into the rushed feeling?
It does, because everything's closed on the weekend. You can't get a death certificate. You can't. You've got to find. We have to have time to order caskets in. We have to have time for the funeral preparation. It can be done, and in this case, I think it was done by having the funeral on Tuesday, because that gave us one full working day where we could contact the authorities that we needed to get everything in order and ready for the service.
On a Sunday, are you able to contact a newspaper to put in an obituary?
We can put one in, but it's not guaranteed that it'll be in the next publication.
Was that part of your concern for the rush?
Yes.
Based on your background and experience with Chad, particularly that work background that you already talked about,
right?
Would it be safe to say, was Chad someone who was comfortable around death?
Oh, yeah, he would have to be. And yes, Chad wrote. He's an author. He's written books about death and dying as well. He's not squeamish about anything as far as being around a dead person. Although that must have been traumatic for him to have his wife in that position. But yeah.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I don't have any more questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wixom. Mr. Pryor, that was narrow redirect. Do you have any requests for recross? All right. That final topic, I think, went outside the scope of direct, so you may inquire on that final topic about the books.
We'll judge on the comfortable with death as well.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Being involved in the funeral business, such as you are also comfortable with death and
viewing bodies. Is that right?
Correct.
And that goes with part of the occupation. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Okay. And just because someone writes books doesn't necessarily mean, if Chad hadn't had his experience as a sexton, just the fact that someone writes books about topics that make some people uncomfortable doesn't mean that you're necessarily comfortable with death. Would you agree with that?
I'm not really sure. Can you rephrase that?
Sure. Just because someone writes books about topics that make people uncomfortable, does that mean that you're necessarily comfortable with death if you've had no other experience?
I think that would probably have to vary from person to person.
That's fair enough. Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.